Okay, hi everybody, welcome back to my Lawn Bowls for Fun channel. You can see I'm indoors at my indoor bowling club at Camberley. Although it's May, I am bowling outdoors at the moment. Not much, but I am bowling outdoors. But I've come in today to do a video on this the ramp that we use. Usually ramps are used to test bowls to make sure that all the bowls are doing exactly the same thing. Not that we ever get anyone question bowls, but if we did have anyone question it, we've got a ramp here where we could test to make sure all the bowls are doing exactly the same. Today though, what we're trying to do is, because I've been asked several times by our bowlers, does a bigger bowl run further than a smaller bowl? In other words, does a heavier bowl run a little bit further than a lighter weight one, or a bigger size bowl, in other words, because the bigger they are, the heavier they're going to be. Do they run a little bit further? I think I know the answer, and in fact if you ask most people, they say, well actually yes, the larger bowl or the heavier bowl will run a little bit further. I'm doing it on a carpet because there should be a noticeable difference on that. Doing it outdoors on grass, I don't think it would be very easy to do. So that's why we've come indoors to try that today at Camberley. So what me and Harrison, my colleague here, is going to do. Hello Harrison.
Hello.
He's going to be my assistant today because I need someone down the other end putting the bowls on the ramp, and I'm going to be up here to put these little discs down. The reason is, we did try this before, just a little bit of an experiment. We found obviously the bowls were getting in each other's way. I don't want anything to interfere with every bowl. So once a bowl comes down the green, I'm going to replace it with a little blue sticker. The blue stickers are for size 6s, and then we go down in increments of 2. So if size 6 is the biggest bowl, then we've got 4, 2, 0, and then we've got 3 zeros, which they're all increments of 2. So there's 5 different colours here, and we can see when we finished where all the bowls have ended up without any other bowl getting in the way. You understand why I'm doing that? So we're going to see how that goes, aren't we? And then we're going to discuss it.
Absolutely.
To see what the result is. If you ask a lot of people, they say, I think I've mentioned this, they do say the heavier weight or the bigger bowls do run slightly further. Well, the only way to find out is to try it, and that's what we're going to do today. Right, so hope you enjoy this. Let's get started. So Harrison's going to put the first set of 4 bowls down the green, starting with size 6. Here comes the first one. And as I've mentioned, I've got to replace, when the bowl stops, I'll put a little marker down which indicates where it did stop, so it doesn't get in the way of other bowls. There we go, that's the first one. Now, with the best will in the world, putting them on the ramp, you hope that you get them in exactly the same position, the same angle, but it's virtually impossible to guarantee to do that every time. So there will be a little bit of variance on the green where the bowl stops. I suppose the argument is that it only takes a very slight adjustment for it to go somewhere slightly different, but they should end up hopefully within sort of maybe a foot of each other. There we go. It's the third one. The last one's on its way. Because as I say, as much as you try, you cannot get them in exactly the same position. You've only got to be a millimetre, maybe leaning one way, or even half a millimetre, and it would make a lot of difference. So there we are. The first bowls have come down, the size 6s. I know I spread out a little bit, but there's only about sort of, I suppose this here is about 15 inches. So here comes the first of the size 4. It'll be interesting also to see whether the bowls, the groups of bowls, take as much green as they do. Now at the moment, these size 4s seem to be taking a slightly narrower line. Oh, look at that, that's right on top. right on top of where the other one was. Yeah, these are grouped pretty much together, aren't they? So when we've done all these sets of bowls, Harrison will come down, we'll talk about the end result. Now that one's gone a little bit, taken a bit more of a wider line. So that's 2 sets of bowls so far. Now we're doing the size 2. Now, of course, this experiment is to see how much further or shorter they roll, depending on the size and weight. Now, look at that. That one's gone about 18 inches further than the first number 2 bowl. That one dropped a little bit shorter. So that's probably so far, this set of size 2s is the most inconsistent. Yep, okay. Now we're doing the sets of 0. Now these should, in theory, not run quite as far. There's not much in it, is there? That's the first 0. When we set the ramp up, we did try and make it so that most of the bowls were ended up sort of lined down the middle here, but you can see they do vary still quite a bit. Now all these are Drake's Pride Professional heavyweights, so the only difference is the size, therefore the weight. The weight would be slightly different between each set. So we've got the last set to go now, which is the 3-0. Of course, the smaller set of bowls you can get for adults is 4 zeros, but we wanted to have increments of 2. So we've only got the 5 sets of bowls here today, but this will give us a pretty good idea. Well, there we are. That's the shortest by far. And that's the 3-0. We have noticed before when we've done something similar to this that sometimes an odd bowl does something a bit weird, and that is because we haven't put it on the ramp maybe as effectively as we should have done. But it's very difficult to know, to judge that and to know if you've got it right, but it still gives you a pretty good idea. It's certainly more accurate than getting someone to bowl, because the human body can do errors more so than the ramp. Now look, that one's running through a little bit further. And the last bowl to come, which again is the last of the 3-0. Right, so there we are. So all the bowls have gone, and you can see here's the centre of the rink. Here's the tee mark where the jack would normally be, at least 2 metres from the ditch. And we've got the ramp all the way back as far as it can go, because otherwise they would go into the ditch. And they've ended up fairly central, although...
Yeah, the sixes moved a bit more than the rest.
The sixes, yeah, have gone across a bit more, haven't they?
They're all fairly similar, apart from the 000s are a little bit shorter, and the sixes have moved a bit more. But
yeah, so the shortest ones have been, if you look on an average, the average 30 has been about here. The average 0 is probably about another 18 inches up, nearer to the ditch. The 2s, the 4s and the 6s. There's a big variance between the 4-2s.
yeah, it might just been a slightly difference on the ramp. It might have for this one. Perhaps those aren't that dissimilar.
But the weight of the 4s and the 6s have almost been the same.
Yeah, pretty identical, aren't they? Yeah.
But the 6s have pulled over a bit.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
Well, I mean, yes, there's definitely difference, but there's not a great deal of difference.
Not a huge difference,
No,
is it?
no.
So if you change from, one set, if you say go down a size, you think, oh, I'm going to have to put that much more weight on. Really, you're not, are you?
A lot of it's in your head. That's, that's
in the
the
head,
answer.
Yeah, so what do you think, guys? I mean, that's really, it's interesting that on carpet, well, between the shortest and the longest bowl, though you can't really say that, but it's about sort of almost like 2 metres difference. But if you look at the average of all the sets, so the 30 and the 2, which are the furthest and the shortest, the average 30 is here, and the average 2 is probably about here. So there's probably a couple of feet difference there. But the main difference between the biggest set of bowls, which are the 6s, which are the blue markers, which are here, and the pink markers, which are the 30, on average, I suppose that is about, just over maybe a metre between the biggest size we've used and the smallest. So all the others are sort of in between. And that's on carpet. You can imagine if we did this on grass, it would slow up so quickly.
Yeah, it'd be virtually no difference.
There would be hardly any difference at all, would there? Do you agree with that? Do you agree with what I've just said? I think that's right, though. So I hope you found that interesting. We just tried, as I say, Drake's Pie Professional. They varied in sizes from smallest being 30 up to size 6 in increments of 2. And they're all heavyweights as well. So the only difference is the size. And so if someone asks you the question, does a larger bowl run further than a smaller bowl? The answer is yes, but it's not by very much, is it? Not a huge difference. I don't think really, if you go down a size or up a size, you're not going to really notice that much difference. If you went from a 30 to 6, you might do, but you're not likely to do that anyway. So I hope you found it interesting. So if anyone's got any questions, or if you'd like me to do something similar with a different theme, then let me know down below, put your questions. I've had several people ask me this. I keep getting asked as a coach anyway, and I thought I had the right answer in that yes, they do run slightly further, and we've just proved that they do. So I hope you found it interesting, and thanks Harrison for your help.
No problem.
Good fun.
Enjoyed it, yeah, absolutely. Very interesting.
Right, okay. See you guys. See you next time. Bye.
You got the numbers upside down. You got the numbers upside down.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, I should have done it. Harrison's just pointed out that as far as the camera go, I've got the numbers upside down. Thanks, Harrison. That's a good point.
The zeros and the 000s are fine.
You can't get the staff, mate. I never realised that when I was putting them down. They were right when I was putting them down.
Those are size 9s, them.
They do look like size 9. Oh, well, there we go.